Tonight, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour invades the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150 from Richmond Raceway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Koss, alongside legendary commentator in the modified world, Ben Dodge. Ben, tonight, this is one of the biggest tracks, one of the fastest tracks that the Whelen Modified Tour will race on all season. And this particular race has a lot of interest because we're getting close to the end of the season. Points are a factor, and some of the championship contenders are fast here tonight.
They sure are. And of course, we're just beginning to get things pumped up. New Hampshire International will be another stop while the super speedway action goes into play. North Wilkesboro, remember the excitement, the intensity of that there. But today, a new day and a new deal, and we're ready for this one, and so isn't the field. They are pumped up and excited. Remember, it happened here, not last year, but the year before last. This is where Austin Beers kicked off his win story. Today, will he carry it forward? He's the point leader going in. Back then, he just wanted to win a race.
And he's been fast every time he's raced here. Let's take a look at this Richmond Raceway here in Richmond, Virginia. A D-shaped oval opened up in 1946, 3/4 of a mile, a very rough southern asphalt surface that'll chew tires up here tonight. That's going to be a factor as the race goes on. And 14-degree banking in the turns, that's going to plant these modifieds to the corners here at Richmond Raceway.
It certainly is. And then, of course, the race distance is 150 laps. Tire allotment, 2 tire changes per pit stop. Recent winners include last year's winner, Justin Bonsignore. He did it back in 2022. Austin Beers, 2023, and Ryan Preece, 2021.
Earlier today, Justin Bonsignore earned the pole. Let's catch up with him with our Matt Dillner.
Justin Bonsignore, his second pole award of the season. Hey, man, that was one hell of a lap there, that second lap, and especially after the first lap because it was a little dicey out of two.
Yeah, had to actually roll out of the throttle. I thought the car would have a little more front turn there on the first lap and rush the throttle, and it was getting a little sketchy off it too. Had to back out of it, but they came over the radio and said you had a 61. I was like, oh, if I just have a good second lap here, it was going to be really good. So yeah, cool to get the pole here. Coastal Fiber on the car this weekend. Phoenix Communications, second company down here from Virginia. So cool to have them here tonight and representing them. So off to a good start. Hopefully the weather holds out tonight. Would love to get home to the wife and kids. But yeah, we got a really good car. It's a little early to start worrying about points, but I know Austin really wanted that bonus point for the pole, so we'll take that. We've not been as good as we'd like to have been the last probably 5 races, so hopefully tonight can get the things momentum rolling for the second half of the year, and you know, we'll battle Austin out.
Last year's dogfight for the finish. We talked about it before. Everybody still talks about that race. Record amount of lead changes. You know, explain to the fans on FloRacing how wild a race at Richmond can get.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty intense, especially with the tire wear. You know, if we see a late caution, guys are going to come in. It's going to stay big, you know, grouped up a little bit. The draft does play a little bit of a role here. So those restarts get wild late in the race here. So you know, hopefully we can just stay up front, keep good track position, have good smooth pit stops. There's going to be probably 4 to 5 times down pit road tonight with the way the rules are between tires and fuel. So be exciting. Got to have good smooth night, and yeah, I think we got a good shot at coming home and win.
All right, Justin Bonsignore, he'll be the kingpin tonight. Starting from the pole for the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150.
Well, thank you, Matt. Justin Bonsignore laid out the strategy here. A 2-time winner at Richmond Raceway in Whelen Modified Tour competition, and a driver that I think everybody is going to have their eye on tonight when the green flag goes. Field staged and ready. Getting set to go racing here tonight, the 12th race of the 2025 campaign for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Austin Beers with a slight point advantage, won here a couple of years ago, wants to do that again tonight. Let's go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Please rise as you're able, remove your hats, and veterans render a hand salute as the Henrico County Public Safety Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Here to offer tonight's invocation, please welcome Regional Vice President of Track Operations, Matt Brannick.
Pray with me. Almighty God, we fall before you with worship and gratitude for your faithfulness, love, grace, and mercy. And tonight, on the eve of night racing's return to Richmond Raceway, we ask that you would keep watch over our drivers, our teams, our officials, our staff, and our fans. Lord, we ask that you'd also provide a special hand of protection over our first responders and our military as they protect us living in the greatest nation on earth. And most of all, Lord, we thank you for providing eternal life and salvation through your Son, Jesus' name, and we ask it in that way. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from the United States Air Force Heritage of America Band, Staff Sergeant Julie Mishler.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
An excellent rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner by Staff Sergeant Julia Mishler here tonight to kick things off at Richmond Raceway. When we come back, we will have the command of fire engines in the Virginia's for Racing Lovers 150.
We couldn't do it without Whelen. I don't believe we've ever taken a product off that was broken. It was we put the car out of service.
What price do you put on a life? We don't want to run the risk of causing loss of life through our response.
Whelen sells peace of mind. Their goal is to get home each and every evening. And if we play a small part in ensuring they get home safely each day, it's extremely gratifying.
The stage is set for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour to take on the Richmond Raceway here tonight, the 12th race of the 2025 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour campaign. You know, all season long we have been celebrating the 40 great drivers in NASCAR Modified competition. One of them is a NASCAR Hall of Famer, Ray Hendricks. So important to the state of Virginia. This is his home state. Had over 700 wins in competition, not only in modifieds, but also in sportsmen. Is one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers and a 5-time track champion at South Boston. He has a logo. You see it in the top of your screen that's adorned on each and every one of these modifieds as they get ready to take on this event here tonight.
You know, and Joe, that logo was so important as he came from the South, raced in the North, and the history of his accomplishments tell the story. And, of course, that's not the only story. You can see everybody's getting ready in preparation for this event. It's an event that everybody talks about. It's not a simple race. There's a lot of strategy. But the 40 greatest drivers, Part 4, is just around the corner. And those drivers, of course, are legendary names like Bobby Santos III, Doug Heveron, the super modified star, Jamie Tomato, Jim Spencer, John McKennedy, along with Matt Hirschman, Reggie Ruggiero, the Reg, and of course, Tony Hirschman, Satch Worley, and a guy who's competing here today, who's had success here, our own Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece, one of 3 drivers in the field here tonight with Cup Series experience, along with Ryan Newman and Corey LaJoie. But Ryan Preece is one of the drivers in the field who has a win here at Richmond Raceway. Let's take a look back at his 2021 campaign in a part-time schedule on the Whelen Modified Tour.
Yeah, Silk making that car as wide as he can. That allows Preece to make a move on the outside, but Silk pushes up, and here comes Bonsignor down on the bottom. Preece runs to the bottom as well. At the line, it'll be Ryan Preece.
From 3rd to the win.
Ryan Preece looking for his first Stafford win off turn number 4. Checkered flag is out, and the fans are loving it. Ryan Preece will take down the win.
The driver from Berlin, Connecticut, the 2013 Tour champion, going back to victory lane tonight here in Richmond. And he has now won in his last 3 races on the Tour.
And of course, there's the guy that everybody's watching for in today's event. The Mohawk Northeast Incorporated car qualified well among the top 3 positions here, but he's ready for a big day of competition here at Richmond. He's been here and accomplished a great deal. Look at the stats. He's 34 years of age. Hometown is Berlin, Connecticut. Full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver for JFK Racing. 1 modified Tour championship back in 2013, 26 modified Tour wins. Named one of the 40 top greatest drivers in modified racing.
One of the stories to watch will be Ryan Preece and how he navigates his way through this field in the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150. Let's go trackside for the command.
Richmond Raceway, give a big NASCAR welcome to Peggy Dunwoody. By day, she is the Vice President of Creative Color, but tonight she is here to say those most famous words in motorsports. Take it away, Peggy.
Drivers, start your engines.
The Whelen Modified Tour come to life here at Richmond Raceway. The green flag right around the corner. Stick with us. We're about ready to turn them loose in Richmond. The sun setting over turn 4 here at Richmond Raceway as the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for the 15th time in series history gets ready to take on this famed D-shaped 3/4 mile oval that is very, very fast and entertaining for modified competition. You take a look at what it's all about, announced at the end of last year, the big money that's on the line in 2025.
The big money, the story is, of course, a total purse, $412,000 and growing, $82,400 to the overall champion, 41 plus, second place, and of course, $37,80 for the top 3.
Look at that, $412,000 on the line with Whelen and all the NASCAR partners that make this possible. title, certainly a big purse on the line for the season. But the question is, who is going to be the driver that takes it home? At the top of the championship standings, it is a tight battle, and even 1 point closer now with Justin Bonsignore earning the pole position, getting that bonus point. Austin Beers has never been in this position this late in the season in his career. He leads the way, but Justin Bonsignore, this is a time when he gets hot in the second half of the season, but maybe none hotter than Patrick Emmerling, who comes off a win last time we raced at Thompson Speedway.
Sure has, and of course, Matt Hirschman in the 4th spot, but the story is quickly a look back at, of course, 2024. A lot of lead changes, and it came to the wire, and Justin Bonsignore was the guy that bested the field. Here comes Bonsignore, tries to make the slingshot to the inside. Bonsignore side by side with Ron Silk. They come off the turn down to the line. Bonsignore working his magic at the stripe. 1 lap to go.
They come together on the back straightaway. Silk battling to the outside. Bonsignore to the bottom. They'll come to the checkered flag this time. Out in front. Bonsignore nose is out in front. But here comes Silk to the outside, and Bonsignore will win it.
The margin of victory was so close, it's almost unbelievable.
What a remarkable day it was a year ago with Justin Bonsignore and Ron Silk battling. It was his 2nd win at Richmond, and that was early in the season. That was in March when we ran that race, and it carried on through to his 4th series title.
It certainly has, and when you talk to the drivers, Austin Beers, you talk to Justin, they tell you just one thing. This is at the turning point of the season. If it hasn't happened by now, you have to make it happen, especially when you're running for a championship. You're looking at the Hoosier pole winner for today's event at Richmond. No surprises there, but look at the men that follow. Ryan Preece right there in that 2nd row.
As the field begins to roll off the pit lane, let's look at the other side of the story, though. Austin Beers came here a couple of years ago knowing that he was a contender in Whelen Modified Tour competition in the 64 car, and he scored his first ever career victory here at this racetrack, and it established him as a regular contender in modified racing, and he has lived up to the billing in the year since.
He certainly has. He's from Northampton, Pennsylvania, just 22 years of age. 4 career Whelen Modified Tour wins, including right here at Richmond. Finished inside of the top 10 in all 25 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour races. His last victory came at Lancaster. And Joe, there's no question about it, all eyes in the pit area are on this young man because he is not just another driver, he is a contender and looking for a title. But more important, he come here to win.
He did. He told me earlier today that he's got one goal in mind. He's not changing anything what they've done all season long. That's to compete for the win, and they did a great job in qualifying earlier today. Speaking of qualifying, let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150. Justin Bonsignore, his 35th career pole here tonight, earned that #1 starting position. Austin Beers to the outside lane. Ryan Preece, he's got plenty of wins in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Tonight makes his 175th career Modified Tour start. And Craig Lutz, the big winner from North Wilkesboro.
Certainly is. Let's go back to row number 3. Big winner in a very emotional victory at Thompson Speedway, saw Patrick Emmerling. And of course, Matt Hirschman. He's been kind of sleeping in the background. Today, he'll pounce and come to life. Trevor Catalano also been there and done that. He will be starting in the 4th row with Ryan Newman.
Tyler Ripkema driving Old Blue will start inside row number 5. Tommy Catalano alongside. He won at Monadnock for his first career win earlier this season. Kyle Bonsignore, the White Mountain Motorsports Park winner, and Stephen Kopsick starting 12th.
Then we look at Carson Lofton, one of the Smart Tour drivers. Hasn't been around long, but he's already started to build a name. And of course, Eric Goodale. He's had a roller coaster season. He'll make up the 7th row. Connor Jones will be in the Jamie Tomato 99, starting in row 8 with Luke Baldwin. He struggled recently. He'll be in row number 8 as well.
Row 9, John Michael Chenette on the inside lane. 2-time Southern Whelen Modified Tour champion Andy Seiss back in the field today. Danny Bone, he's a former champion of the Bowman Gray Stadium about a decade ago, and Andrew Krause, his family, that operates the Wall Stadium in New Jersey.
Let's take a look at row number 11, Ken Heggie. A surprise. Corey LaJoy did not have a good qualifying round in the 77. And then, of course, Mike Marshall and Tyler Berry will make up row number 12.
There's a starting lineup for tonight's event. When you go back and look at how far we have come this year, tonight the 12th different race, but we've had only 2 repeat winners all season long, and 9 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Parity has been the name of the game so far this season. I'm wondering whether or not we get a 10th different winner tonight, or do we see another repeat winner to shake things up in that championship point battle?
Well, it certainly is going to be put to the test, and this is one of the super speedway. It is one of the biggest racetracks that these cars will showcase themselves on. Obviously, to win at Richmond is something special, but today, with points on the line, the prestige, we've had new winners, we've had veterans, we've got cup stars in the field. There's so many different individuals that could be a contender to secure the victory in today's event. You're looking at the field as they are behind the pace car, working the tires to keep them even, Joe. We are about ready to begin this, the big event, the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150 from Richmond.
It's a warm Thursday night here at Richmond Raceway. The track will be greasy and abrasive. Tires will be a big story today, and how you conserve it on the racetrack and make sure you've got enough to compete, along with the pit strategy and the crew chiefs on pit lane to match. We're about ready to get underway. 150 laps for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and the 2 championship point leaders on the front row. Justin Bonsignor, the 51 of the inside line, will lead the field around to the green flag, and we are racing in Richmond.
The green flag is out. Bottom of turn number 1. It is already Bonsignor to take command. But what a surprise, maybe to some, but not to us. Look what's happening. Already moving quickly into second. Priest has already made the move as Austin Beers settles back in. Top 4 cars, single file, then they're doubled up.
Here's Ryan Priest now looking to the inside on the opening circuit in turn 1 for the race lead over Justin Bonsignor. Move Ryan Priest to the lead. You look at this driver, he is in the middle of trying to make the championship playoffs in the NASCAR Cup Series, but he's racing back in his roots here tonight in the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds.
His passion is modified racing, he'll tell you, and his heart is still in New England. Up the track goes Priest. The door opens suddenly. Bonsignor. Lead change number 2 takes place. Justin Bonsignor back in command, and here comes Austin Beers, testing the waters a bit, and right there with him, always a contender, is Lutz with car 46.
Priest's car jumped loose at the exit of turn 2. He gathered it back in, and I think Austin Beers gave him a little bit of room to catch that race car, and then he fell back into the clutches of Craig Lutz in the 46, who won at North Wilkesboro earlier this year. Look at that outside lane roll, though. Up top, it's Patrick Emmerling making up ground.
Patrick Emmerling was so strong at Thompson Speedway with a car that was a tribute car to Jeff Bodine. Today, the old colors, the old deal, and car number 1 has moved into the 3rd spot. It is a 3-car bid for position number 3. Directly behind Lutz is Lutz, and then, of course, it looks like Catalano is moving in within striking distance.
Red car is Catalano. That's Tommy Catalano, the older of the 2 Catalano brothers in the field here today. His brother Trevor runs directly ahead of him, who came home in the top 5 here a year ago at this race. It's just his 2nd ever Whelen Modified Tour event, as he's racing side by side with Matt Hirschman. Hirschman will give way, and here comes Steven Kopchik looking inside.
Steven Kopchik has a yellow stripe on his back bumper, but he is far but a rookie in this division. He has already shown muscle and potential time and time again. He's up on the wheel. He'll race to the front of the field. He likes to run strong in the early laps. He's back in the 9th position. Meanwhile, Ripkema with car number 3 is running in his tire tracks. Remember the story from North Wilkesboro. These 2 are really front-running drivers that give it their all lap after lap.
And they may not be as close of friends as they once were after contact earlier in the season, the 3 and the 21 of Steven Kopchik. We were looking at some of the practice times earlier in the day today, and Matt Hirschman did not show a tremendous amount of speed, but that tends to be Matt Hirschman's strategy. He goes when it counts. So far, he's riding comfortably in the 8th position, but having Hirschman inside the top 10 early may not be a good sign for everybody else.
You know, interestingly enough, Joe, on that last circuit going into the turn, watch. Now here comes Austin Beers. Dives to the inside. Priest drops back to the 3rd position. Beers is now gaining forward momentum. And now Patrick Emmerling is starting to work over Ryan Priest. Priest was much stronger just a few laps ago.
Austin Beers had high hopes for this race 1 year ago, but 13 laps in was involved in a hard crash going into turn number 3. Did not have the chance to showcase his skill, as here comes Craig Lutz working underneath, that's Patrick Emmerling, excuse me, working underneath Ryan Priest to be able to move into that third spot. As we talk about Austin Beers, he didn't have a chance to showcase his speed here last year, much beyond 13 laps. I think they were looking for a little bit of redemption here tonight.
I think you're right about that. You know, it's kind of a Cinderella story, because when he won here at this racetrack, he was kind of an unknown. Today, Austin Beers is not only the top of the chart in the points, but he's got a trading card literally produced and named after him. He's a youngster with so much ability and so much talent. Murphy, the Irish Angel that owns this race car, he said, I'm going to stick with it, and he did for all of those years. Sly Staben, Ronnie Hewhouse, those guys never gave up, and this team is a factor in the title for 2025.
The 64 car and Mike Murphy and that entire group have been on the Whelen Modified Tour for over a decade, and they never had the right combination between crew and driver to make it all work. When Austin Beers got in this race car, it just gelled. And they've had some of the best modified racers behind the wheel of this race car, but for some reason they never got the results. Austin Beers was the first one to make it work, and now that team is a regular contender.
It certainly is. You know, there's things such as we refer to as chemistry. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And that was really literally the case with car number 64. But meanwhile, look a little bit further back and you will see that Patrick Emmerling is back in the third position. Priest's car is not as strong as it was. The times are going down. As you watch the Priest machine, Lutz is now in the top 5. Trevor Catalano is in the 6th spot. Then Tommy Catalano, his brother in that red 54, is up to position number 7, followed by Hirschman, Kopsick, and of course Tyler Ripkema. Back to the front of the field. It's a little cat-mouse action, but there's no question about it. The Phoenix Communication Machine, car 51, is looking to be a repeat winner. But there's a long way to go, Joe, and more lead changes just around the corner.
You can see it on the racetrack that Austin Beers is far faster than Justin Bonsignor. Last time through, he was 0.2 of a second faster. This time, though, Justin Bonsignor has gotten a lot more aggressive with his lap time in the 22.1 second range. He does not want to give up track position to Austin Beers with the playoffs or the championship chase being as tight as it is.
You know, going into the turn, you'll see that Beers can reel back on him out of the 51 car. Then all of a sudden you'll see coming off the turn, and it appears the 51 of Bonsignor gains a tiny bit. These two cars are pretty evenly matched at two different perspectives of this very fast and D-shaped oval.
You heard Justin Bonsignor in our pre-race show talking about the fact that the team really hasn't had the speed as of late as they are used to. This is typically in the season when the tracks fall into Bonsignor's wheelhouse. Here comes Austin Beers now looking to the inside lane and for the race lead. He's going to get the job done off turn number 2, but Bonsignor with the crossover move looking inside of the back straightaway.
He'll make the move to the bottom of the racetrack. They are side by side, evenly matched. It didn't take long. Car 51 moved to the front of the class, but as they come back to the stripe, it is still a side-by-side bid. Inch by inch, it is Bonsignor back in control. Austin Beers tries to line up with the back bumper, make the move on the bottom lane.
Beers looking inside into turn number 3. Bonsignor slides down underneath to take the lane away from Austin Beers. Tell him it doesn't matter early on in the race. We are just a handful of laps in. 19 laps complete. They are racing as if the checkered flag were in sight.
Two of the fiercest competitors, the veteran versus the young lion, lap after lap. That time, Beers' car loosened up coming off the turn. All of a sudden, he's back in line in formation, but that works to the advantage of Justin Bonsignor.
Bonsignor able to open up 1-2 car lengths as he continues to lead the way. We were talking a moment ago about how he gets hot in the second half of the season. A lot of that has to do with the schedule. These are racetracks that he's been good at. Tracks like here at Richmond Raceway, 2-time winner, Thompson Speedway toward the end of the season, Martinsville Speedway, and his home track at Riverhead Raceway. This is when Justin Bonsignor knows he can reel in on a championship, and Austin Beers knows that too, because those straight racetracks have not been his strength, and he knows tonight is when he needs to pounce in Richmond, because this is the opportunity for him to distance himself in this championship battle.
It certainly is. And speaking of a guy that comes on in the second half of the season, look to the right of your screen. In the shadows, you will see the 1 car of Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling is slowly but surely gaining ground. He will be the third car in contention for the #1 position in just a few laps. Patrick Emmerling got off to a tough start this season. Well, a great start initially, Joe, and then it went sour. Then it came back to life. Now it's back in. It looks like he too wants a piece of the action and position #1.
Yeah, while the other two in front of him continue to battle for this race lead, Emmerling is closing in. Lap times about half a second slower than they were when this battle first started. Tire wear just 23 laps in, starting to become a factor, and now a 3-car battle for the race lead here just 24 laps in when they cross the line.
You know, not only is it a 3-car battle, Preece is there too. All of a sudden, bid for the lead. Austin Beers testing the waters again. On entry, goes to the bottom of the racetrack, makes it look easy. Here comes Bonsignor. This time, will he try to make it work to the bottom? He's almost there. He tries to take it back. This time, Beers is loose a bit as he comes back off the turn.
But Bonsignor could not keep the nose straight there, and he had to surrender that race lead. Austin Beers to the point now, a car length ahead of Justin Bonsignor. Patrick Emmerling, though, starting to close in. You mentioned how he became a factor at the end of last season. He's doing the exact same thing. Midsummer, he wasn't even a factor, but as the season rolled on and we got towards the last couple of races, all of a sudden Emmerling had a ton of momentum, and it looks like he's following that same pattern straight off that win at Thompson a couple of weeks ago.
You know, he's another one of those drivers, Joe, that has a great deal of experience running on super speedways. He's driven in all levels of NASCAR racing. But right now, look out, we've got a caution. We've got a car around, and that will be the first caution of the event, and it appears to be the number 54 car, the USNE Power Machine. A tough break for car number 54, and that, of course, is Tommy Catalano. Secured a big, impressive victory at Monadnock Speedway. It was a squeaker that came right down to the checker, and, of course, today off to, well, a tough start here as well. So first caution comes out, and it is car number 54, the USNE Power Machine. Looks like a minor spin. We're not sure what the situation was, but we can see now that the safety services crew are there to check on that situation as well. So, leaders of the event, there's no question about it. Early leader of the event has been Justin Bonsignor. Preece had it for a very short live. And then, of course, Austin Beers is there now. But he go back to the lap leader score. It is, as we said, 2 times Justin Bonsignor has been in command of this event. Beers has worked his way up and taken the lead most recently as the Whelen lights are on. First name in light sirens and safety services used throughout the world. Whelen Engineering, American made and proud of it.
First caution of the night out here in the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150. It was for Tommy Catalano, who got out of shape off turn number 4, and he's finally getting a little bit of help from one of the track services vehicles to get him rolling once again. Still looking for a push to see if he can get that 54 refired. It was a couple of years ago, back in 2022, when Tommy Catalano led this race late in the going, and at the very end he got gobbled up by Justin Bonsignor, who had fresher tires. Meanwhile, though, pit road is open, and it looks like we're going to have some takers. Ben, the strategy here, you've got to get at least some fuel tonight. That'll probably be the first stop, but you can only take fuel or tires on a pit stop, and when you come down pit road for tires, you can take 2 per pit stop. So likely to see multiple pit stops under this caution cycle.
Remember, it's 10 total tires, and of course 6 for the pits. 4 were on the cars on the initial start. You're looking at the 64 of Austin Beers.
They made an adjustment there on the shock on the right front. Austin Beers with fuel. He will race his way off the pit lane. There's Corey LaJoie in the 77. Big adjustment on the Tyler Berry car. But round 1 of the pit stops, it's going to be Austin Beers who wins the race off of pit road. There is a 21 of Steven Kopsick nearly outside of his box there on pit lane.
Yeah, he looked like they perhaps struggled just a bit. They will make it back out, though, but he lost several positions on the racetrack as well. So everybody heading back off from pit road. You know, we talked about strategy, and we went back and was talking about earlier the situation at Thompson. Matt Hirschman was one of those drivers who made a strategic move. We said we weren't going to give away that move this early in the race and tell everybody about it, but he did something a little different, and we're wondering if it's going to come into play today.
We'll see what happens. Cars coming back down the pit lane again. I noticed a couple of drivers stayed out on the racetrack. That'll be a story in and of itself, but more cars coming in for service here on the next round of pit stops as they continue to cycle on through and see if they can get their tires. And among them, one of them, Ryan Preece, right rear tire being done for that number 40 car as he heads back out onto the racetrack. And right rears here at Richmond are a factor, and the reason why is especially off turn number 2, where you go from that 14-degree to banking to that straight hard corner. It's a lot sharper because of the way the D-shaped oval is. You tend to lean on that right rear, and we saw Ryan Preece backpedal a little bit. That car wasn't gripping the racetrack as good as I think he liked it in the early stages.
You're so right about that. Carson Lofton's car is stopped on pit road. We're not sure what that situation is. Apparently cannot get it fired up maybe. The Catalano car is finally getting pushed in to its pit stall, or they're trying to get it to its pit stall. But two of those competitors with the problem, but Lofton, bad luck. Well, it kind of continues here. Southern Racing in the Smart Series, he is one of the standout drivers, and they have some very competitive racing action there as well. Looks like we've only got about 4, maybe 5 takers in this second round.
Lofton, just 17 years old, running the Cars Tour this year as well on his schedule, has been a factor there as he gets a push off of pit lane. So a tough break for Carson Lofton here on this round of pit stops. There is Craig Lutz trying to get around Lofton as he exits the pit lane. But certainly a chain of events that Carson Lofton's going to have to dig himself out of here in the early stages.
Certainly is, and that car just doesn't seem to want to fire. But speaking of firing, everybody seems to be back in formation, and it looks like we should be getting ready to get things fired back up again. Most of the field were the takers in the caution. No surprises there. A couple of individuals pitted out of sync. When we talked to competitors earlier today, they said it is essential to pit with the front pack of cars. I think we just witnessed that, Joe.
Yeah, everybody came down pit lane for the most part, as Danny Bone looks like he's going to get the wave around and rejoin here at the tail end of the field. And through that cycle of pit stops, it ended up just about the way they came down pit road. Austin Beers will be the race leader along with Patrick Emmerling. Now, Beers can choose the inside lane, but everybody else, if you're odd numbers, you're inside. If
That's
you're
right.
even numbers, you're outside. So there's no choose rule per se in the Whelen Modified Tour as the field lines up here on the back straightaway. Now, the 48 car, Danny Bone will assume the race lead. Austin Beers on the outside, and the reason for that, Danny Bone did not come down pit lane under that round of caution stops.
Well, that is the situation there, but we're looking at row number 1, and from our vantage point, it looks like Preece is on the inside of the front row, or correction of that. Here we go, about ready to get it fired back up, and we are up to speed.
Green flag out, and Danny Bone, the Bowman Gray champion from 2014, leads this pack of Whelen Modified Tour drivers into turn number 2. Austin Beers trying to go to the outside lane, but Bone on the bottom, holding tight in a battle for the race lead.
Does a great job of setting the pace and holding it tight. Meanwhile, coming off the turn, good battle still shaping up there. That time, Patrick Emmerling crossing over, moving to the outside. Here comes Justin Bonsignor. Bone is stuck in the inside lane, side by side and wheel to wheel for second. It is Bonsignor back up to the number 2 spot. Bone is stuck in the bottom lane.
And everybody's going to freight train him around the outside. Patrick Emmerling there, Kyle Bonsignor is there. They're going to continue to work the outside lane around Danny Bone. Here's Trevor Catalano in the black and white number 56 trying to move inside the top 5 here as he lokes to the outside of Danny Bone off turn 2 right behind Kyle Bonsignor.
Meanwhile, look at that yellow car. That is Ryan Newman. Newman has worked his way to move into the top 8. So Newman is moving forward. He started the event in 8th. He is there, but now he is in the outside lane getting hooked up. Meanwhile, Kyle Bonsignor, winner earlier this season, trying to hold off the opposition. Here comes the 56 of Trevor Catalano. Bold move to the bottom of the racetrack.
Looking inside for the 4th spot underneath Kyle Bonsignor, and Ryan Newman will try to follow on through. Newman, one of the 3 drivers in the field with Cup Series experience, and is a Cup Series winner here at Richmond back in 2003.
You've got a 6-car pack, and all of a sudden moving to try to challenge. It is Ryan Newman. He went from the outside to the inside, right there in the tire tracks, and now the inside lane is moving forward. All of a sudden, car number 88 has also surfaced, or the 99 rather, of Connor Jones.
Connor Jones joining the Modified Tour here tonight. Great to have a young talent step into the program here. His 2nd opportunity at running the series, but his first start here today in Richmond.
He's working some magic there, but Ryan Newman seems to be the guy that is literally all over the car in front of him, which is part of the Catalano team. Car number 56 working its magic for Trevor Catalano. Started in the 7th position. Now he tucks out of line to the inside of Patrick Emerling. Emerling shuts the door. Newman is there. 3 cars contending for that position.
Trevor Catalano is so good at this racetrack. He impressed us all a year ago with a 3rd place finish. Now he's looking to the inside of a driver who's a championship contender to take over 3rd and continue to move forward. Trevor Catalano and Richmond Raceway, they just go together.
Sure do. And of course, Newman is really showing that he is hungry to work some magic and get to the front of this field in today's event. There's Newman with a crossover. Yellow 4 car. Patrick Emerling's car is backing up. It is hard to believe he was so strong before they pitted. Now he's struggling a bit as Emerling continues to try to hold on. Trevor Catalano is up to 3rd. Newman is now in the top 5, now going for 4th.
That 4 car, Brian Newman, very, very quick at this stage in the race. He's running lap times that are faster than the top 3 in front of them of Austin Beers, Justin Bonsignor, and Trevor Catalano as he settles into the 4th spot. Connor Jones up into 5th, and Jamie Tomatoes, number 99. Jamie, one of the 40th greatest drivers in NASCAR, was on hand here tonight. Took a photo with all the drivers and owners that are part of that group today as we look at the 56 of Trevor Catalano move into the 2nd spot. That car a rocket ship right now as Bonsignor now settles back into 3rd.
Hard to believe, but that car is going forward. It is currently the quickest car in the racetrack. Bonsignor tries to stay with him, but Ryan Newman is gaining in leaps and bounds. He is closing up the gap. Newman had a tough run. He said every time he's run this race car, he's had a fast race car, but he hasn't had any luck. Today, maybe Lady Luck is on the side of the number 4, that yellow machine.
The 2 fastest cars in the racetrack, the 56 of Trevor Catalano, Ryan Newman, Connor Jones, and they are all moving forward. Here you see behind the Newman getting by Justin Bonsignor, Craig Lutz is on the move. He looks inside of turn 1, trying to get 1 if not 2, but he gets into the back of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor gathers it back in, and Craig Lutz continues digging to the inside.
That's a real wheelman and a true champion. He continues to work his magic. Right there is Lutz now, trying it again on the inside. Lutz makes the move to the bottom. Here comes, right there with him, is the number 99 machine. Connor Jones tries to stay with the big dogs, and he does. Now Connor Jones sets his next target just in front of him.
Connor Jones, new to modified fans here in the Whelen Modified Tour, came up through Legends, raced at Hickory Motor Speedway, Caraway. Came through the ARCA program, has a couple of Craftsman Truck Series starts to his credit, and he is a talent. He said before the race today, the biggest difference in racing a modified versus some full-bodied cars is how the steering rack feels, but he has gotten used to that feel. He has certainly adapted quickly. He's looking good here as we approach the 1/3 mark of the race.
You know, this racetrack we know has been kind to rookie drivers. We've seen that happen in other years, but today it will be a strong run for another individual, and that's Trevor Catalano. He has been so strong at this racetrack. He moved to the front of the field. He started 7th on the grid, and he is, of course, one of very few leaders so far. But the guy to watch, I think, all of a sudden becomes Ryan Newman. Newman in the 3rd position with the Tim Conley-owned number 4 car.
Newman is on the move. We said at the start of this that this was going to be a competitive race. Last year we set a record of 20 for lead changes. So far tonight we have seen 5 different leaders, more lead changes than the 5 leaders we've had on track, and it has been entertaining. Here is Newman diving inside lane in turn 1 for second.
Certainly does. He makes the move, and all of a sudden, working his way back, Beers was there. It is gone. Now Newman continues to reel in on the back bumper of Trevor Catalano. Here's another move to the inside. Lutz goes down low, picks up the spot, and that, of course, shuffles things a bit as Beers drops back to position 4, and Jones is right there in 5.
The cars that were fast before the pit stop beginning to struggle. You saw Austin Beers get loose off turn 2. Here is Ryan Newman charging. Since we came under the green flag with those tires and adjustment, he has picked up 10 positions. He rides second, and he is on the hunt trying to track down Trevor Catalano.
He's doing a good job. He got a lot of speed. He is right there, and Lutz is a gentleman that wants to stay with him. Every move offers a counter move. Trevor Catalano is out in front, but the heat is starting to come on, and they are getting closer and closer. They come up on lap traffic, but Trevor Catalano still is the current leader.
4 races this season are companion races to the NASCAR Cup Series. The last time we did it was an All-Star Sunday, and that was when the 46 car of Craig Lutz went to victory lane at North Wilkesboro. He's 3rd right now, and he's on the hunt. Since that win, they have not had the momentum and the speed they wanted, but tonight they've got it back again. He challenges for second underneath Ryan Newman.
There's no question. Lutz is right there trying to give it his all, forced to back out of it just a bit. Good racing wherever you looked in this one, but the big story seems to be the story between Newman and that 4 car. Off the turn, Lutz got a little bit loose that time. Upon entry, he's going to make the move.
Inside lane to that 14-degree banking off turn number 4. Can't make it work that time for Craig Lutz, but he will continue to apply the pressure to Ryan Newman as they dive back into turn 1, but Newman's not going to give him a lot of room to work off the exit of the turn.
The Riverhead Building Supply machine giving it its all with Lutz to the inside. They are side by side and wheel to wheel. Here comes Lutz. He made the move, completed the mission. Once Lutz got there, he's starting to pull away. Lutz has now become one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. Newman is not far behind.
Look at the leader, though. Trevor Catalano has opened it up to a 1.2 second advantage, one of the largest leads that we have seen in a very entertaining race tonight here at Richmond Raceway. There is the battle for second, Craig Lutz and Ryan Newman, but the car running there in 4th continues to impress. He continues to lay down fast lap times, and that is Connor Jones. He is starting to move in within striking distance.
You know, Jamie Tomato and his son, they've worked so hard over the years. They've had so many different drivers behind the wheel of their race car, but today this could be a big one. 40th, of course, being a part of the 40th group is an honor all by itself, but if that car could make it to the front and be the winner today, it would be a great win in the historic Tomato family over the years. Meanwhile, good racing continues to be Trevor Catalano with that lead, still maintaining consistent laps, 1.206. There he is, the leader of the pack. The USNE power machine is powering its way out front.
So smooth, so calculated. His 2nd season in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Already a winner last year in his rookie campaign when he won at the Monadnock Speedway. He's a driver that has impressed so many. The Catalano boys, it's a whole family of boys that go racing. Men, really, at this point in time.
Yes, they are.
Based out in Western New York, and they have certainly established themselves as regular contenders in these races.
Certainly have. You know, we're looking at the top 5, and behind Jones, there is another individual that has worked his way to the front of the field. He started 16th, and that, of course, is Luke Baldwin. Luke Baldwin had a tough go of it at Thompson Speedway. Met with misfortune, hit at a ton, but Baldwin is now in the 5th spot. And believe it or not, this gentleman started back in 22nd, and that, of course, is Corey LaJoy. Joe, he's in the top 6. Kopsick is up to 7. Beers is back in 8th.
This race looks very different than it did a handful of laps ago. Kyle Bonsignor restarted 3rd. He's back to 17th. You look at Justin Bonsignor. He's back to 9th. Emmerling back to 10th. and who was the race leader for a while, Austin Beers, sitting there in 8th. So different with the dynamics. Luke Baldwin has been on the move. He's now up to 5th, as you mentioned, 6 seconds behind the race leader. But this car is flying, and this is his first race here. Doug Coby raced this race 1 year ago in the 70 York.
You know, there is so much history that surrounds the Baldwin family. Sawyer, the gentleman that was the instrumental in running this operation, was close friends with Tommy Baldwin Sr. Tommy Baldwin Jr. was a part of those race days and the success here at this racetrack. This, too, is a very important track for the Baldwin family. LaJoie coming forward. The Putney race car has definitely come to life. He's in the top 6. And look out, because he is all of a sudden reeling in on the back bumper of Luke Baldwin.
That's a 77 for Corey LaJoie, starting to close the gap and see if he can move into the top 5. An impressive drive from LaJoie to go from the back of the pack. Not strong in practice. He wasn't strong in qualifying, but now in race trim, get under the lights here in Richmond, and that 77 car has come to life. The dynamic has changed, but Ben, remind everybody, 85 laps to go, likely an opportunity for another pit stop if there's a caution, and we saw how much the first caution changed the dynamic of the race. It completely inverted the field, and there's no stage breaks to invert it. It's just been flat out performance and strategy, and Corey LaJoie and Luke Baldwin are some of the drivers that have taken advantage of that.
They certainly have. Corey LaJoie is glued to the back bumper of Luke Baldwin. Now remember, Baldwin has had some experience running in the trucks. He's been there on super speedways, but look at LaJoie running in the tire tracks. He continues to put that Putnam race car to the back bumper of the number 7 New York of Luke Baldwin. On entry, it appears that the 77 car is quicker, but on exit, the Baldwin machine has a slight advantage.
Mike Curb Records continue their sponsorship support of this 77 car, and they decided that Corey LaJoie was a driver they were going to put behind the wheel. Right now, looks like a really good choice here, just outside the top 5, battling with Luke Baldwin, who's had a fantastic campaign in 2025 as well.
We should also point out that Matt Hirschman has moved into the top 10 behind Justin Bonsignor in the 9th position. Priest is now out of the top 10. He has drifted back to the 12th spot. He's not done yet. Emmerling is in the 11th position. Heggie is in the 13th position. So a real shuffle of the cards here. And of course, we've seen some surprise changes in this event.
You see several of the cars well off the pace. Tires wearing thin here on this abrasive surface. Cars starting to back up. You saw Eric Goodale on the screen there. The 58 car goes a lap down. 14 cars remain on the lead lap. Danny Bone, who was leading when we got the green flag after that first caution, will be the next car to go a lap down, and that's going to happen pretty quick here. He's within sight of the race leader, Trevor Catalano.
He certainly is, and of course, he's had tremendous success this season at Bowman Gray, competing there. Been to victory lane and done that. He's a standout that cut his teeth back at the old Wall Stadium Speedway as well. We're still looking up front. There's your leader, and he is out in front, and the margin is now 1.530. So believe it or not, Trevor Catalano is really starting to build a commanding lead over Craig Lutz. Newman has settled back into 3rd, and LaJoie is coming. A guy that has passed more cars in this field than anyone else with car 77. Still remaining, leader of the pack, Trevor Catalano, coming up on lap traffic here as he works his way back towards the front of the field and down the back straightaway. Looks like it is the Bone machine, and there you're looking at Newman's car back in the 3rd position, all by himself. Huge gap, Joe. You can see it to the left of your screen upon entry.
And he can't duplicate the lap times that are being laid down by the race leader, Trevor Catalano. He's in the 23-second bracket. Trevor Catalano, really one of 2 drivers, he and Craig Lutz, that are in the 22-second bracket. That just shows you how good he is out in front of this field. The gap you see here, 1.6 seconds back to Craig Lutz. Another 2.6 seconds back to third and Ryan Newman. Now they're in the middle of working lap traffic as this goes by as well. Here they go by the 48 car of Danny Bone, who was leading not too long ago.
Certainly was how quickly it all changed, and Lutz continues to try to reel in the second spot. Then there's a huge gap. Look for that yellow car. You're looking at the Lutz Riverhead Building Supply number 46 car. But then, not even in the same zone, it appears, it is Newman. Halfway down and halfway to go.
75 up on the big board here at Richmond Raceway, and this one has that long run feel to it with Trevor Catalano marching away. But Newman has got some lap traffic he's got to work through. Danny Bone directly ahead of him, as Bone still running in the 13th spot. But 12 cars at this point remain on the lead lap, as Trevor Catalano putting on an absolute clinic here. So far, he has now led 29 laps in the race, the most of anybody.